So about standards on industry standards, okay, there are some simple rules to get you through. Okay. So for classes, constants and probably like variables. Okay. So for classes, the naming convention will be camel case. That means you have, let's say if you have one word, the first letter needs to be capitalized. If you have multiple words, then it should be camel case. So each of the word, the first letter should be a capital letter. So that's a camel case. Okay. So camel case for your cases, class names. Okay, and for constants, they are all in caps. Okay, so for variables will be uh, small letters. Okay, they start with a letter or underscore. Okay, then you can follow by a combination of letters, underscores, and numbers. Usually, if you have more words, for example, amount in SGD, okay, then you can actually combine the words in the underscores, okay, with underscores. Uh, s- Same as your function names and method names. Okay, they are the same for as the variables. Okay, for function names, okay, same naming convention as variables. Okay, so of course in the uh, PyCharm, even comments they need you to give a double space so that it is clearer that this is a comment. Okay, so let's give a space. Yeah. So from the class, okay, you can see that there's a indentation. So this indentation usually amounts to 4 spaces or tab. Okay, of course there are people who use 2 spaces as long as it is same throughout. Okay, we don't use a single space or an odd number of spaces. Usually it's 4, so we just stick to the default 4 spaces. Okay, likewise, if you have okay a function or a method, okay, as long as a colon, they will go to a indentation. So we have another if else statement, okay, with a colon, they will go into another indentation. So you can see that this actually belongs to the if statement, and this one belongs to the else portion, and this whole thing here belongs to this particular method. Okay, and everything else goes under the class. Okay, in Python, you can also see that there's a thin line, telling you where the block is. Okay, so for the so for um, usually a document, you can see this line over here. Okay, so for bigger screen, usually it's like 120 to 140. Okay, for the smaller screens, usually they will stop at the um, line 80. Okay, like I said, usually they will use line 80 to fit the smaller screens, usually in the remote terminals that your servers are. Okay, because as programmers, sometimes you want to update codes. Okay, and usually is at the web server. And your web server usually they are in a remote server. You have to dial into that remote server, and usually you don't have a nice user interface. Okay, so you are going to probably be working purely on the console. Okay, that means the terminal screen here. Okay, then so if you are going to print out the code over here, for example, I'm going to print out this particular code. Okay, so usually it's a small screen until here you can see all the code nicely at this portion. Okay, so that's the reason why, and it's mainly for practical use. So there are other things which the IDE will give you. Okay, for example, let's say you're going to put a bracket over here. Okay, the IDE will complain that this is not required. Okay, please remove the redundant parenthesis. Although it doesn't give you any error, okay, but Python is is to make it as minimalist as possible. Okay, so this is something that you want to note to for the standards in industry. Okay, because even if you do something wrongly, let's say you are going to delete two spaces here, okay, your ID will complain. Okay, as the comment is still fine, but let's say if you are going to do it on a programming statement here, okay, this will give you the error. Okay, it will give you error saying that your this line doesn't match the indentation. Okay, based on your previous statement here. Okay, so it is still best to follow. Okay, because it will likely give you an error if you don't follow the standards. Okay, so for importing of libraries, okay, use the import statement with the full name. Of course, we have one layer here, so it's just exchange. Okay, if you just want to get this current exchange, okay, we can use the from exchange import the currency exchange. Okay, so we can just remove this particular line. Okay, but let's say if you have more than one class in under exchange, okay, if you do this, then you only import this particular class. Okay, so it may be a little less convenient. Okay, if you have a lot of classes in that same file. Okay, but if you have only one, then it's easier for you to just use this, so you actually type less code lah. Okay, another way is that you can make this you know more convenient by renaming it as another name. Okay, so you can just use like ce.exchange. Okay, so usually this will use it for um, okay, like maybe just complain about the camel case thing. Okay, so usually this is for the commonly used libraries that people are familiar with. For example, from our Tinker, import Tinker. As okay, so people already has been using TK as Tinker for quite some time, so it is easy for them to just relate this to a Tinker. But using this may not be as intuitive for most people because this is your own custom code, so it is best to keep it as the original class name. However, for commonly used libraries like Tinter, okay, or NumPy, okay, people are used to seeing NP, okay, for NumPy already. So this is okay if you're going to rename them. Okay, but sometimes we'll have multiple classes with the same name, okay, and you don't want to mix them up, then it is good that we can rename it as another nickname if you are going to use it in the same file.